Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Colony Drop, a Gundam podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name is Isaac. This is the podcast where you come to for all your Gundam news, model news, anime series news, and anything related to Gundam.
And what are we talking about today, Isaac? It might be one of your best ideas you've ever had.
Today, we're going to be talking about a concept for a game that we both realize would be incredible for Gundam. It hasn't been done yet, and there's no reason it shouldn't be done because it would be an immense amount of fun. And that is what I like to call Gundam Kart Racers. It's exactly what it says on the box, Brian. Think of Mario Kart, but with Gundams.
That's right. Everybody loves Mario Kart. All demographics love Mario Kart, whether you're young, prime video game age, whether you're old, male, female. It just runs the whole gamut. I cannot believe that this game does not exist for Gundam because it's so adaptable to this format. So what we've both done is we came up with ideas for the drivers, for the courses, for the items, some shortcuts, some other things. So which one do you want to start with, Isaac?
I say we either start with the drivers or we start with the vehicles, the carts themselves. What do you think? What do you think, Brian? Which one should we start with?
Yeah, we can let's do both of them at the same time.
All right, why not? Yeah.
So okay, I guess there's one note. Maybe there's one note we should make there. So there are there's been a lot of Mario Karts over the years, and I guess we should say up front that we are framing this as a blatant ripoff of Mario Kart. I think
absolutely. It would almost be a mod for Mario Kart, right? Like we're reskinning the game.
If the formula works, why change it? There have been a lot of iterations of Mario Kart over the years, though. So in some, especially in the early Mario Karts, you did not choose your kart, right? That didn't come until at least I think the one for GameCube, I believe, which was Double Dash. Yeah, if not Double Dash, then definitely the next one. So, but yeah, I think there's definitely some opportunities there, given what Gundam is and the mecha involved. And I guess I'll say up front, Gundam has so many characters that I limited myself to like 0079 time frame. But you could certainly go hog wild and draw from everything. I would have made like 8 games if I had done that, though. So
absolutely. Yeah, and before we jump into characters, just real quick, if you've reached this point and you're not familiar with Mario Kart, please find a friend or somebody that owns it and play Mario Kart. It's a really enjoyable game. Just a quick summary, if you're like the 1% of people that don't understand it or haven't played it yet, Mario Kart is a racing game with the characters from Super Mario, and they race on different courses that have different appearances. They pick up items that do things like give them special powers, and it's pretty much a race to see what place you come in. And there's different modes of the game you can do. You can do best time or race in different cups with different difficulties. It's a racing game where you pick up items and weapons. It's very colorful, very enjoyable, and it's very enjoyable for people of all ages. And with that said, let's jump into the characters you said, Brian, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
I definitely agreed. Yeah, maybe there'll be DLCs in our for different characters, but to start off, 0079 should definitely be it. And the 2 characters who have to be in it are Amuro and Char. There's no question about it. They definitely have to be in it because they're the sort of the main rival pilots in the series, and they would be the rival racers in this series for the end of the game. I mean,
yeah, 100%. They're basically your Mario and Luigi,
right,
of this game, right? So they're in every Mario Kart game. They have to be in it, and I think that makes perfect sense. In the original Mario Kart game, there were 8 racers, so I chose 8. How many did you limit yourself to?
I try to keep it that amount, but there's a few people that sort of got honorable mentions almost. Be unlocked.
Yeah. I think I made like 8 or so unlocks as well, because there was one that I couldn't resist, given our previous conversations on this podcast. So,
well, aside from Char and Amuro, I decided to include a lot of the zombies, Dozel, because we'd need like sort of a heavyweight character, right? And who's heavier than Dozel?
That's right. Yeah. So maybe that's another good thing we should point out. So one of the mechanics in Mario Kart games is the weight of the racers. And so there's generally 3 weights. There may have been 4 in one game, but generally it's light, normal, and heavyweight. So what would you say, Amuro? I said Amuro would be lightweight.
I actually thought he might be better being sort of upgraded to being the average weight class, I suppose, a middleweight, just because he would be a more well-rounded character, I feel like, similar to how Mario is. And same thing with Char. Lighter characters might be, I don't know, Frau Bo or Kycilia. Like if you pick them, they're going to be pretty light.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Sayla
that was
as
my
my
thoughts.
lightweight.
Oh, her, yeah, she definitely would be light.
Yeah, I had
Why
Sayla
not? Who else could be heavy? Ramba Rawl. He's a big guy. I was hesitant to put Dagwin in, but I can see him and Revel being sort of unlockables. The only sort of alternative idea that I had that was sort of on the fence about was with it being called Gundam Racer, it might be more iconic and recognizable to not just have the main characters of the series as the pilots, but also have the actual mobile suits as the pilots. So you could have your go-kart being driven by the Gundam or a Zaku, just customize them different colors. They could even possibly have different abilities depending on what type of mobile suit you chose to drive your go-kart. Did you think it should be open to having mobile suits as the actual pilots of these vehicles, or did you feel it should be just the human characters?
I started out in both, trying to have both, and then the more I did it, I just started going down to the pilot level only, because then I started assigning karts to each character based on like their mobile suit. So, for example, this is my roster, right? So I have Amuro in the RX-78 kart. I have Char in like the red Zaku kart. I have Ramba Ral in the Goof cart. I got Sayla in a G Fighter or the Core Booster cart.
Right.
We've got Bright Noah in a little white base cart, which I think would be hilarious.
That's great.
Like you said, you got to have Dozel in there, and he's got to drive a big Zom cart.
Yeah.
You could awesome. You could have Black Tri-Stars in their DOMs.
Of course.
And they could be, it could be one character, and you could just like cycle through the costumes, get the different Tri-Stars. And that leaves one spot open for 8. So, then you could expand. There's obviously more people in 0079, but I didn't want to put in Kai if I couldn't put in Hayato. Maybe Frau's in there. She's driving like a Haro or something.
Right, yeah. I thought the gun cannon and the gun tank might be mandatory inclusions. Well, it's so difficult trying to balance it. I can see the gun tank definitely being a heavyweight. The gun cannon, it's supposed to be a medium range mobile suit. Maybe it would be the middleweight, and then the Gundam itself would be light because it's faster. But maybe I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
Here's my unlockable characters. So I expand a little bit. I had to have Ko, in like either the Dendrobium or the GP1, Gato in the Noisiel or the GPO2, Shiro in the EZ8. Aina in an Opsilis little cart, which I thought was really funny.
Sad her brother didn't get it. She took it.
Bernie in like the Zaku Kai, Chris in the NT1, and then the one character that you would play as for sure is Dagwin in a great Dagwin cart.
I like it already. See, I like your idea for the vehicles where it actually matches the character. I was gonna sort of give the players a bit more flexibility, like you could choose the Zaku card if you wanted to, or whatever, the Dom card, the Zeong if you wanted.
Well, I know some of the later Mario Karts you can mix and match drivers and carts, so you can as long as you unlock the carts, you can pair them with whoever you want.
Oh, okay.
So,
I can see it going either way, really. But yeah, I like the idea of, someone piloting a Musai, and it looks like a Musai with like, their distorted giant head sticking out of it, and just they slap some wheels on the side and it goes down the race course.
And yeah, I mean, a lot of those people, like we said, they lend themselves really well to the light, normal, and heavyweight class. So, for example, Black Tri-Stars, Dozel, Degwin, those are all clearly heavyweights. People like Amuro, Char, Bright, Ko, Bernie, those people, all normal weights.
Yeah.
And the light people, you got Sayla, Aina, Chris. I think it really lines up really, really well to the normal, tried and true Mario Kart mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, we're essentially dividing people by their height and weight. And then saying, well, guess what? You're going to have slow acceleration but really high top speed. You're going to just zip out of the starting line. but don't be surprised if you get caught up by Dagwin and Dozel.
All right, what's next? Courses or items?
I say let's do items. So in Mario Kart, the item box is, well, depending on what game you're playing, it's either like sort of a box or like a strobing polygon that changes shape and stuff like that. Maybe even like flashes what item it is every like, half a second. And then you drive through it, pick up that item. What did you think should be that sort of item generator, the item box in Gundam Kart Racer? I had multiple ideas. It was difficult to choose.
I had a difficulty with that actually. I approached it from trying to figure out what would be the fake item, right? Because I needed to come up with that item, and I didn't know what that item box should be. So this exact problem. What were your ideas? I didn't really think of a good one.
Okay. What I sort of settled on, and it might not be that wise, but here we go. It alternates between the Federation symbol and the Xeon symbol. And the items are divided into two groups. There's Federation items and there's Xeon items. Anybody can pick them up, but by looking at that and deciding, by seeing, the item right now is showing Federation or the item showing Xeon, you kind of have to roll the dice in a way to determine, okay, I want a Federation weapon and I hope I get this particular Federation weapon, or I want the Xeon item and I hope I get this particular Xeon item. I'm not sure that works very well, and maybe it's better if it actually shows the different items. In that case, I felt like maybe, I guess a cargo cube is a little maybe too basic. I thought maybe a colony, but I felt like a colony might be better used as like an actual level, because my logic was, well, this is the Universal Century. Everything's built in the colonies and then pretty much just shipped around or shipped to Earth. So what better symbol than, a giant space cylinder as the logo that you drive through to pick up an item.
Yeah, I really like the symbol idea, because I thought of the cargo cube too, but then I kind of threw it out because I thought that was too generic.
Yeah.
But the symbol is actually a good idea, I think, in splitting the two items, or splitting the two like item pools. It forces the player to make another choice, like a gameplay choice. So it turns into like a strategy. Like, if I'm in first place, is a Federation weapon better, or is a Xeon weapon better? So I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. And then for the fake item, you could do like a Neo Xeon emblem, which is slightly different.
That's right. Yeah, you're gonna need a sharp eye to determine at the last minute, like, wait, that's a Neo Xeon.
Oh, that Shaw already got me.
Damn it, Hamon.
What are some of your items that you created?
Okay, we talked about this off the podcast, but it's pretty brilliant. All right, number one that came to my head that I already shared with you is Char's mask. If you get Char's mask, your go-kart turns invisible, just like Char was invisible to all the zombies and the best of Xeon intelligence. So you get his mask and you're temporarily invisible on the race course. Maybe you can even drive through other players. I think that's the ability, right? When you pick up Boo.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, you essentially become a ghost, and you won't collide in the players for a little bit, and they won't really see you. Another item I thought was you pick up a solar system, and the solar system will turn all the other competing racers, their screens white, so they really kind of get blinded by the light of the solar system temporarily, so you can race safely while they either run into walls or they spin out or something. Who knows what they're doing when they can't see. I also thought, a few generic weapons like the turtle shells and things like that. Those could easily be just, missiles and Gundam and things like that. I felt like there should be some type of new type item that you pick up, maybe a Psychomu or something like that, and it maybe doesn't show where. It can't show where, who's going to beat you or anything like that into the future. That wouldn't really work in the real world gameplay mechanics. But I thought maybe you can do other things like show everybody's weapons somehow, or what items they have, things like that. That's about the best I could think of as far as how to integrate new type abilities into the race. Like what would be sort of a prescient or mental edge that a new type would have as far as abilities in a race. Well, they'd be able to see your weapons and kind of like revealing your cards to them in a poker match. They know what's coming up.
Oh, I like that, being able to see their items. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good way of trying to incorporate the precognition aspect of a new type. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Well, what weapons and items did you think of?
So I tried to go basically through most of the Mario Kart items and kind of, think of the Gundam equivalent. So for the green shells, so in Mario Kart, green shells, they're a straight projectile. They either go forward or backwards. They don't curve, they don't home, they're just straight. So for that, I thought of just that would be a beam rifle shot. And I guess if you're doing Federation versus Xeon weapons, it could be a beam rifle on the Federation side or a bazooka or something. A new weapon I thought of was just a beam saber. It would be like a short range slash. Say you're butting up against another cart, you could slash them to the side with a beam saber.
Oh, that's pretty.
Which is, it would be kind of the equivalent of like a left or right green shell, I guess, which
Yeah.
could be neat. For the red shell, it's a homing shell, so if you fire it, generally it'll hit the person directly in front of you in the next place ahead of you. So if you're in second, it will seek out and destroy the first place player. And I know you can fire them backwards in some of the games. I don't know if it hits the person exactly in back of you, or I can't quite remember how that works. But for the homing missile, I think it should be Char's bazooka, because of his and by Char's bazooka I mean literally like the one that Char used, not his Zaku, but the one that he used to kill Kycilia with, because that was the greatest shot in Gundam history. So in Mario Kart there are the items that are mushrooms. They give you a short speed boost. So for that, I decided that it should be just red paint. And so you paint your car red real fast, and for a short period of time, you go 3 times the normal speed, which is what Char is described as doing in the show, and as he pilots his red Zaku.
I thought propellant tanks might be a good choice for that, but that kind of threw me for a loop too, because they didn't really show up too much or at all in 0079. Or like maybe just like a floating vernier thruster.
Yeah. Something. I think anything within those first 0079 to like 0083 would be in fair game. So I think the propellant tanks make sense. Yeah. You could also get like, I forget which core booster it was or core fighter, but there was one that maybe it was the GP one of the GP ones from 0083. It had like those little booster wings. Maybe those little wings could fly up and connect to your cart and make you go faster. That could be fun. Yeah. One thing I had a hard time with was I was trying to replace the banana peel with something. I came up with just like generic debris, like space debris, shoal zone debris, maybe a piece of side 2. Did you have any thoughts on like what would be a banana peel?
That kind of threw me for a loop too. I was thinking like an oil slick, but that didn't really work too well in Gundam, because I mean that worked for go-kart, sure, but not specifically something that we really saw from Gundam, and I wanted to keep it very Gundam centric and not stray too much. Maybe like a mobile suit bear trap almost that like stops you in place. And then I was trying to remember like 8th MS team and some of the traps they had for like fighting the Zakus that the gorillas used. And maybe like some type of like ankle pit, like the Zaku's supposed to step in it and it stops you in place.
Oh yeah, but, I like that idea. Yeah, maybe your cart just like falls through the track a little bit.
And then I was thinking, well, the bananas, okay, they do stop you in place, but they can also sort of spin you out. And I was remembering, Shiro fought in space using a ball and like a harpoon and a cable, and he was spinning that Zaku around. So I thought maybe maybe the banana is pretty much like Shiro's ball. Like a ball will fly from the back of your cart, and then it'll deploy a harpoon or a cable and sort of spin out the whatever unfortunate racer was behind you.
Yeah, I like that. That's some like Star Wars Hoth action there with the tow cables almost.
That's pretty much where they stole it from in LA's MS team, right? I mean, where else could it come from?
Yeah, pretty much. I could get behind that. That's a good idea. Yeah. I ventured into the new type stuff a little bit. So I was trying to replace both the 3 green shells and the 3 red shells, which I think were first used in Mario Kart in the Nintendo 64 version. So by 3 shells, what I mean is the way this item worked is instead of getting 1 shell, which is a normal item that you were granted, you got 3. And they spun around your cart constantly once you activated them. And you could like bump up against someone, and they would hit the shell that was circling around you. So they were pretty useful items. So I was trying to replace those. And for the 3 green shells, I was thinking it could be an eye field. And so it's like a
Wow, that's
barrier.
brilliant.
It's like a barrier that absorbs a hit but falls after that hit, or after 2 hits or 3 hits or whatever. You don't want to make it too overpowered. Because if if you are in first place and you get 3 red shells or 3 green shells, you're pretty good, barring some of the more overpowered items. For the 3 red shells, I was thinking like bits or funnels, and you get like 3 bits that come out of your cart, and they act as like auto defense. So if someone gets close enough, that bit fires at them, which I thought would be kind of fun. And then probably 1 shot per bit before it runs out. Again, you don't want to make it too overpowered. And then for the Power Star, I was thinking it could just be like a Psycho Frame. I know that's a little bit past 0079.
Yeah, but you could say it was in development.
So instead of being invincibility, you would just say it's a resonating Psycho Frame, causing like a Psycho Shock or an Axis Shock, and it causes you to go really fast. Or maybe instead of causing you to go very fast, it causes the other carts to slow down. Or maybe it causes the other carts to not get close to you, or like pushes them away once you activate them. Kind of like how it pushed Axis away.
I love it.
Solar System, definitely agree with your idea of blinding everyone. That kind of makes it similar to the Lightning Bolt in Mario Kart. In Mario Kart, the Lightning Bolt item is probably one of the best items in the game. The Lightning Bolt hits every player, making them really small, which makes them go really slow, and it spins them out. So it gives you, if you're in the way back and use a Lightning Bolt, usually you can catch up at least 2 or 3 places after having used that. So I was thinking the way you could explain it in Gundam is through the Solar System. You would say, it blinded them, and then it overheated all of their cars, which caused them to slow down and like smoke for a bit. Bask Om would be really proud. Maybe Bask Om should be an unlockable, and he would drive a little Solar System.
We'll put him in the Zeta DLC.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you said, the Colony Laser. I was thinking the Colony Laser would function like the blue shell. It would just fire a beam that's the same width as the track, and it would just fire it in front of you, wiping out everyone in its path. Because, like you said, that is the quintessential Gundam super weapon, and it deserves to be the blue shell for sure.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. That was my only choice for the blue shell, because I couldn't think of anything else would work, really. It had to be the Colony Laser.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing else as devastating. So
you get 1 shot and it blows itself away. It burns itself out.
Yeah. I thought about maybe, given that you have a lot of different cart choices, because there's so many different mobile suits, you could even start introducing like a special power for each cart if you really wanted to. That might be a little unbalanced if you do that, but there are a lot of carts that maybe have some fun things. So for example, like the Goof could have a heat rod attachment, or the DOMs could maybe have some like booster attachments, or maybe the DOM carts don't slow down as much over tough terrain because they can kind of hover.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. As far as the carts themselves in Mario Kart, they don't always have particular individual abilities. They might have different stats really in terms of like weight and maybe handling and acceleration, things like that. But mobile suits are just so varied. I thought maybe like if you pick the DOM cart, you get to use like that blinder in front of it.
Oh yeah, the cracker.
But right, yeah. But within reason, like it doesn't have like unlimited use, and since it would kind of take away from the Solar System. Solar System can hit all the other players, but if you're a DOM, the person really has to be very close to you for the blinder to work. What else? Maybe a Musai, or maybe you pick a Magellan or something, or a white base to drive. You can hold maybe 1 extra item, and that's to sort of show that the capital ships could store more than mobile suits or something like that.
I like that.
Really, really different things like that. Even maybe there's like an extra animation if you do something that sort of ties into the show or how things were, like maybe if you're playing a Char in the Red Comet and you're racing Kycilia and she's in her Zanzibar cart, and you fire a missile at her, maybe it like your racer does like a special celebration animation after he gets a hit or something like that.
I love that. That's brilliant.
It's almost an unlockable not a cinematic, but an unlockable animation during the race.
Yeah, it could be like an achievement almost.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. If you're gearing and you use a solar ray on Dagwin, you know, gearing does some kind of celebration or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the way to balance those individual cart abilities would be to make them one of the items that you can pick up.
Yeah, maybe.
Like the ability to use your special ability, I guess. Because you're right. Like in the Mario Kart games, there are different carts, and they're all distinguished by stats, which are, I don't want to say boring, but it's just a bunch of math, right? My racer has this stats. What is the best cart that I can combine with that racer? What are the optimal cart stats to combine with? So I think maybe giving them an ability would be a little more creative, a little more fun. I don't know. But yeah, again, could be overpowered too. So
right. And maybe, I don't know, some type of award system, or you get rewarded to an extent. Maybe if you're playing a character from one faction and you pick the item box of your faction, maybe that's the way that you get like your power up or something, or it increased the odds that you get like random item that's very beneficial. Like maybe if you're Federation, you get the Federation box, Matilda will swoop in and crash her cargo hauler into, like, you know, the player directly ahead of you or something.
Does it have to be a suicide character?
No, it doesn't. It could be, I don't know. It could be I don't know, a Musai like will shoot from orbit or something like that. I don't know, but you understand my point.
I do. Well, if she does it in one race, can she do it again in the same race? I don't see how. She's already dead. Well,
it's a show. You know, anybody can come back in a racing game. This is the Mario Kart world now. They race karts in Mario Kart one day, and then the next day Bowser kidnaps Peach, and then the day after they're playing golf together. So they have an interesting relationship.
Okay, how about we move on to courses, which I think is where the bulk of the meat is, maybe.
Well, the first thing that came into my mind for a course was you're racing inside a colony as it's falling to Earth.
For sure. I agree. Same one.
So I think you're maybe racing along the inside edge, and maybe you go through like shuttle bay areas that take you to the outside, and now you're racing on the outside. And all the while, you know, you have a clear view of space, whether you're inside or outside the colony. Mm-hmm. And you can just see it, you know, getting closer and closer to Earth. For those that aren't familiar, it's not just one lap around, you know, each course, and then that determines the winner. You pretty much go through 3 times, maybe even more. So you have multiple chances in each lap to, you know, reach the first place. So with that in mind, as you go through more laps on this course, it gets closer and closer to Earth until the final lap. It's designed to, you know, land on Earth and, you know, shatter. You could even do it so that after first place goes through the finish line, maybe like that's the end of the race. Like impact begins then.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Yeah, like who, you know, after first place is through, everybody else, that's your order. This is the only map of its kind where, you know, we cut the race short because first place is finished determines when it lands on Sydney.
Yeah, I had the same thought for my first course. I just called it Operation British. And nice. I pitched it as like an escape race, right? So say you're on the colony, which was Island Ifish. So you're in Island Ifish as it's going down, and you're 3 laps. By the end, it's gonna fall. You're gonna reach the point of no return. So the finish line is you breaking out of the colony and like leaving it, and then, you know, all the racers watch it as it goes down into Sydney. And then I tried to come up with a shortcut each of my courses because I love shortcuts in Mario Kart. They're like if you ever played Mario Kart, they're a big part of the game. It's a really good way to get ahead. It's usually like a secret, you know, path or tunnel or hole somewhere that you go into. Sometimes even a glitch, really. So for this one, I thought maybe you could drive your cart into one of the shelter tunnels to get somewhere quicker, I suppose. But then I thought maybe that was too morbid. Well, the only time the shelter tunnels were really shown was when everyone was getting gassed. So yeah, probably don't want to mention that in the children's racing game. But
also the shelter tunnels were useless during a colony drop. I mean, that colony's still falling.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your next course?
All right, my next course was, this might even be like the final course in like the most difficult cup. This was a Bawaku and happens almost entirely in space. And if it's going to be in space, it might as well be during a battle. So this would very much be like if you ever played Smash Brothers, that course. Well, there's a few arenas in Smash Brothers that take place in space. I think the best ones are the Star Fox ones, and this one would be very much the same way. Where in the background there's a huge fleet battle going on between Xeon and the Federation. And in this course, you're racing along, Musai's, and then you cross over in an explosion to like a Magellan, and you just keep going. You race along a Bawaku inside and outside the different hangar bays and things like that. Maybe you pass like Caecilia's Zanzibar. I feel like the animation is sort of changing as the battle's progressing, maybe towards the end, even though this isn't exactly matching what happened in the story. In the final race, the solar ray is ready to fire.
Ooh.
So in the last lap, yes, there's an item, the solar ray, but at the same time, it'll also be in the background ready to fire at the racers. So I think it'd be cool if it maybe fires at the last moment, or if we make it like my colony drop idea, where as soon as first place passes the finish line, guess what? That triggers the solar ray to fire. And
Everybody else.
Whatever place you're in, that's where your finish is.
I like it.
Yeah, but we can't do this. We can't do my gimmick at every race, because then people will be like, "Well, it's gonna be over as soon as first passes the line." No, this must be very rare. Almost every other course, like it's like a traditional race. It's not over till 8th passes the finish line.
That's a good mechanic, though. I like it.
Yeah, I think it throws people for a loop, especially if it's their first time playing, or if it's something they forgot. They're like, well, we played 3 races. Why is this one going to end right when first crosses the finish line? It might add more desperation, I feel, to the last lap, because people realize, oh God, I'm not going to have a chance unless I really catch up.
Yeah, no, I don't think it would lessen people's intensity. If anything, they'd be like, oh, my time is even shorter. I have to do even better.
Yeah, right? Like, oh, this is the last lap. How do I know? Because well, number one, the number will appear, and also the solar ray is now visible behind a Bawaku.
Yeah. So, if it's like charging up.
Yeah, like, I don't know. We'll edit we'll edit the timeline just for the race. We'll say, oh, we fixed it, Garen. Fire at will.
I had a Bawaku on my list as well. So my idea is actually very similar. My thought was, you said you were pitching it as like the last race in the last cup, right? Which is traditionally Rainbow Road. Typically in a Mario Kart game, and for those who haven't played Mario Kart, Rainbow Road is basically exactly what it sounds like. It is a course that looks like a rainbow. It's a sort of explosion of color on the racetrack, and it's a very, I'll say, psychedelic experience, and it's usually very long or very treacherous, one of the two. And that's kind of what a Bawaku is, right? So I was thinking it would be sort of a light spectacle in space due to all the fleet battles and mobile suit battles happening. You can see all the beams. Nukes. Yeah, exactly. The beams going, crisscrossing. And if we stick to the 3-lap idea, I was thinking the first lap would be approaching a Bawaku, driving through the battle. You get to see all the mobile suits fighting in the background. And then lap 2 would start when you land on a Bawaku and you drive through the asteroid, and then you witness Char killing Caecilia. You witness the final shot of the Gundam destroying the Zeong, and then your final lap would be escaping a Bawaku and finding the white base crew at the finish line in their little space life vessel. Yeah,
yeah, the emergency dinghies that are, for whatever reason, I think they're unarmed, right?
Yeah, man, they're
always unarmed.
Yeah, I don't know what good, like, what's your dinghy gonna do against a Musai or something anyway? So there's probably no point to really giving it any weapons.
You're right. Yeah. Maybe the Federation and Xeon agreed, like, okay, our lifeboats, they'll both be unarmed. If you see one, don't shoot it.
Yeah. I mean, that didn't really work out though in 8th MS team. The Federation shot down that Kurgan with all the yeah.
But I mean, in their defense, that wasn't a lifeboat. It was the Zanzibar is a warship, all right? Yeah, it has multiple weapons. Okay. And so I think the Absolus was appearing at that point. Yeah, it was.
It was,
so,
yeah.
I mean, This was not like a peaceful situation. It was. Yeah, we'll talk about that in our eighth MS team episode. But getting back to my next level, if you're ready to move on,
Yep.
is Solomon, the Battle of Solomon. Now, it would be similar to a Baku, but I feel like the solar system has to be fired.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. But it's not going to be fired at the end of the race. Instead, the solar system will be deployed maybe in the middle of the course. And what that'll actually do is it will blind the players, but there'll be, forewarning. Maybe we'll do like a countdown or something so players can kind of, prepare yourself. It wouldn't be like another player using the weapon and then, you have no chance to prepare yourself. There's going to be forewarning. And what that actually do is in the course as you're racing through, space and on Solomon, what that actually does is you see it heat Solomon and warp the racetrack before your eyes. So that changes the route that you've maybe memorized for 2 laps. Yeah, I thought that'd be an interesting idea that you watch the course change sort of as you're racing, and then you kind of have to adapt to how the course is set up now.
100% agree. You basically took my entire idea. So lap 1 was approaching Solomon. Lap 2 is getting hit with the solar system while on Solomon. And then lap 3 is, again, another round on Solomon, but now it's completely different because it's all charred and everything is melted. And then I was thinking for a shortcut, you could, like the big Zom could fly by, and you could see him fighting with maybe Amuro and Slager in the background, and then maybe he uses that big beam cannon, like the chest cannon thing, and it blows like a tunnel open somewhere. And if you're paying attention to where they're fighting, maybe you drive over there and you go down that tunnel and cut off some time on your lap or something like that. Or it could be blown open by the solar system as well. So
absolutely, there's multiple ways to do it, and the great thing about so many of the new Mario Kart games is that there's multiple routes in the racetracks. Some of them are shortcuts, some of them are just alternatives, and there's no reason that can't be the case here. Depending on how they would program this game, you could have it so that the solar system melts the course in a different way each time you play. So this might be a course where memorization after a certain point doesn't give you an advantage. Somebody else could have a more successful way through Solomon after it gets melted.
I would love that. Yeah. I hope to see that one day. Someday we'll reach that point in video games, right? Where
there's no reason we can't, right? I mean, with advances in technology, machine learning or artificial intelligence, it'll happen soon.
We'll get there. All right, next one.
Okay, the next one is. Boy, this is almost becoming just like a list of the major battles in the Millennium War. But you know what? It works. The next one, Brian, is Odessa. Now, what my gimmick with this one is going to be a nuke being fired. Ooh. If you remember in Odessa, Makube, he fires a nuke to try to buy Xeon time. So in this case, I felt like that's something that should be included. I didn't decide yet if maybe there's items or nothing too out of the way, but some type of item, like maybe if like X number of racers or more than half of the racers go over buttons on this course or whatever, it'll take out the nuke. Maybe you'll see an animation in the background as you're racing of like the Gundam standing up and firing the laser into the sky and hitting the nuke. Or if you don't hit all the buttons or whatever, maybe the nuke will actually land and go off. That could also warp the course too. What I thought would be really interesting about this battle would be it'll all be on ground, on Earth, compared to the last few ones, which were all in space. And it'd be interesting to sort of have like the tanks involved, because Odessa was a pretty big tank battle. You see a lot of Federation tanks. So I thought it'd be interesting if we see them kind of going over trenches, or maybe you actually go over the tanks, or there's a segment where your racer is sort of driving through the tanks in a way, and they can give you cover, or at the same time be obstacles to your progress, or the other racer's progress. So I feel like there was interesting things to do with sort of NPC type racers in the form of the tanks rolling around.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea, because it reminds me of there was a course on the Nintendo 64 Mario Kart called Toad's Turnpike. Where you drove with traffic, right? And so what if you were driving with like one of the advancing assault forces, like
Yeah.
and particularly the tanks or the GMs or something that were, marching. And it could also be fun too because Odessa was primarily, if I remember right, like a deserty environment. So that definitely checks the box in terms of like the sandy level. Every Mario Kart's got to have one or two sandy levels.
Sure. And does that mean, Brian, there's an obligatory like sand pit that like slows down your car?
Oh, of course.
Your go-kart starts sinking in it.
Yeah, and then Makuve could yell at you. He could say something like,
Yeah.
I he likes really fine things, right? So he could get mad at you that you're scratching your cart or
I like it.
yeah. So yeah, I had Odessa on my list as well. So
All
once
right,
again,
cool.
taking my ideas.
You know what? I think I've taken enough of your ideas. Why don't we switch to you? You can tell us some of your course ideas. I'm
All
gonna
right.
guess. I think I know what the next one is, but go ahead and say it.
Let's see. I'll start with the Battle of Loom. Do you have
Oh,
Loom on your list?
no. No, it
Aha.
wasn't. Oh, you got me.
All right. So this one I'm picturing we drive through like a path through space, just amidst either the wreckage of the Battle of Loom or as the Battle of Loom is playing out. And maybe the last lap is sort of after the Zaku's have destroyed all the ships, whereas a Baoku is just this psychedelic space battle kind of nightmare thing. I picture the Battle of Loom being this like depressing space wasteland of just debris and stuff like that. And for the shortcut idea, I was thinking you could somehow hitch a ride on like Char Zaku as it's flying by,
That's
and
pretty cool.
and he would like propel you forward really quickly, which could be fun. And you don't necessarily have to do it on Char Zaku too. You could do it on any Zaku.
I like it.
Let's see. The next one I had was a course on Side 7, Green, the Green Noah 1 colony, which is the first colony we see in Mobile Suit Gundam, where Char first tries to destroy the Gundam in the first episode.
Oh,
You would drive through the holes blown in the colony during the battle and drive on the outside. And as a shortcut, I was thinking you could enter the docked white base through maybe an open mobile suit launch bay before it flies away and kind of skip some of the track. And this would be a really good level to be like a greenery level, right? There's always the tracks in Mario Kart that are very much kind of like the first world in a Mario game. It's usually a foresty or sort of lush area. And Green Noah was a relatively new colony, so everything was nice and somewhat peaceful, I suppose, until all this
yeah.
happened. So that would be a good way to get in some greenery, right? Which would be different than a lot of the space battles. And you could see, Char carrying out his attempt to destroy the Gundam in the background. You could see the Gundam get up, which would be pretty neat.
This would definitely be like the Mushroom Cup, one of the
Yeah,
courses on the Mushroom Cup, right?
yeah,
Like maybe this and Loam start us off because like
yeah,
they're a bit more approachable. Maybe like Loam wouldn't, Loam would like be like you said the aftermath of the battle, but the course itself wouldn't be too difficult to navigate.
right, yeah, yeah,
Same thing with this colony, even though a battle is about to take place. It's very small scale on the as far as the 1 year war goes.
yeah. And maybe the one you were thinking of was maybe the Battle of Jabro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is gonna be like almost like Bowser's levels in a way because there's gonna be like maybe you could put lava in here. You go underground a lot. You're in
Oh
caves
yeah.
and things
You
like
put
that.
For the shortcut, I was thinking you could go through the tunnel that Char found as the entrance to Jabra.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was also thinking like, should I put my gimmick in this one too? Like, should this one have the nuke and like you can stop the nuke from going off? Or maybe it'd be funnier if like Absolus shows up in this course and like blows a hole, and that's also an alternative route that you can take.
Oh, that'd be cool too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I don't know if you remember the 08 MS team, they had like that awesome. I don't know why the Federation spent so much money animating it, but they had like a simulation of what Absolus would do to Jabro, and it was like horrifying, and like all the officers were watching it. I thought
Yeah.
that'd be cool. You get an underground level. That's pretty cool. Maybe you could start above ground, and then you just go underground.
Yeah. I was
So,
gonna say, I think this level would be a good opportunity to have multiple different like environments, right? You could start above ground, you could go below ground into the tunnels, you could go underwater into like if anyone's ever been to like SeaWorld or something, they have those, I don't know, what would you call them, but those like tunnels that you go through where it's just
Yeah,
you're like through
water
the
tunnels,
tank.
like
Yeah, the water tunnels.
it's an aquarium tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah, you could go through the water tunnels, kind of like the channel, taking from
Exactly. Yeah.
England to wherever.
You can see all the Zigox and Hygox
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the Act guys in the background swimming.
And then maybe if you do something wrong, one of them breaks the tunnel and you have to get put back on the track.
Yeah. As far as the, overall in these race courses, I think we both agree that like in the background, there should be showing a lot of mobile suit action, whether it's them fighting or stuff like that. But I also feel like since they're racing go-karts at the end of the day, it would also be fun if it was almost like those Lego video games where it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like,
right.
say in the Jabra underwater areas, as you're racing through these underwater tunnels, you're looking through the glass to your left and your right. You can see like the Act guys or the Hygogs, and they're swimming. Maybe they have floaties and things like that. That you see like GMs jumping off diving boards or something to go into the water to fight them or something. I feel like it shouldn't take itself too seriously, especially if the racers are shown to be very kind of in like chibi proportions.
Right. No, I 100% agree. I think showing the battles happen around the course would be playing to the strength of Gundam, right?
Yeah.
And it would make the course very interactive, but I agree. It should definitely try to hit like a comedic tone in certain points. And I think the floaties are a great idea. Like, can you imagine Char Zagok going like, let's go, guys. And then, they all have floaties on and they all dive in. It would be hilarious.
Yeah, or I think that some of the Mario Kart races, some of the Mario Kart games do that later on, right? Your car sort of transforms almost depending on the situation. Some race courses where you're in space, it breaks out those anti-gravity pads, and then you start doing things like going upside down.
Yep.
If you go over water, maybe it turns into like a little hovercraft inflatable ring pops out, things like that. So that might be something to consider too.
All right. What's another one you got? I think I did 3. I think you did 3.
The other one I had it wasn't necessarily something we saw on the show, but we knew about, and I feel like there has to be an ice level. We have an Antarctic treaty, of course. So this place is going to be slippery. There might not necessarily be fighting, but I feel like they could still do like a lot of funny things in the background. Like maybe, I don't know, we see like mobile suits building igloos or things like that, or Zaku's handing out snow cones to like GMs that are lining up at the store or something. It's the funny stuff in the background, while at the same time, you're driving through, I forgot the name of the city, but the city where they actually signed the Antarctic Treaty, and it's not really a battle, but it's more of an interesting course and lets you do interesting things on the ice. Like there'll be a sliding section, or maybe a section where it's snowing and it's windy, things like that. We need an ice level, even though ice levels aren't necessarily most people's favorite levels in Mario Kart games.
No, but you definitely need one. I mean, some of the ice levels are better than others. Some of them are really difficult. If you're not, super good at the game. But we actually do have a good candidate for where that would fit in. In 0080, the first battle is at the Arctic base when the Cyclops team tries to first take out the NT1. So that works. We could set it there.
Yeah, that's an actual battle too. So you could do that, and that'd be a good transition too, because I think they start off in the water, right, and then they get to the land.
They do, yeah, because the Hygog comes out of the water.
There you go.
Boom.
Cool transition.
Boom. Ice level done.
Yeah. Another one I had that would be pretty much the equal of any lava level would be post colony drop Sydney. So you're going through the Sydney ruins. Everything's hot. On the one hand, it's where billions of people, it's where millions of people died, and at the same time, it's the spot that caused, a further billion people to die or so from the actual drop and the damage that spread around the world. I don't know. It'd be cool to have like a lava level, a fire kind of level. So it'd obviously be, in the immediate aftermath of the colony falling. So you see like lots of colony trunks you can drive on, and going through the ruins. Maybe you can even go through some of the Sydney landmarks, like the Sydney Opera House. Like maybe it's like still sizzling or something. You could see like, I don't know, some Zaku's kind of like roasting like weenies on sticks over like a burning building or something in the background.
Victory wieners.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a very much a post-apocalyptic course, and but at the same time, try to keep it lighthearted in tone. And it would check the box for the fire level, the lava level.
Oh, I love that. I didn't think of
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic Sydney. That's brilliant.
I mean, we've never really. Well, okay. The only time we see it is when we're looking at the crater, right?
Yeah,
So I
because there's nothing
figured,
left. That's why we don't
yeah.
see
I
it.
mean, there wouldn't even be buildings on fire. But I wanted something that would kind of fit, and I couldn't really think of another situation that would fit with fire. This was the closest I got, and I was like, you know what? We could actually turn something really devastating into something that's a bit more lighthearted. You could even
So,
show like I don't know GMs like with water hoses trying to put out fires or something.
but they'd be wearing little like firefighter outfits.
Yeah, it's very lighthearted, very Lego.
I like it. Keeping in the same theme of like we need an ice course, we need a lava course, water course. We need a jungle course. So one good one would be the jungles of Southeast Asia
Ooh,
with the 8th MS team.
that's a great choice.
You could be driving alongside the 8th MS team as they advance, into Xeon territory or something like that. But they could be, getting held up because the Obsolus is flying around, maybe shooting its particle cannon and sort of carving up the course, making it different every lap.
That's pretty awesome.
Again, maybe it fires a hole in the floor somewhere and you can go take a shortcut in there if you want. I guess this course would remind me of either like one of the Donkey Kong levels, which is usually jungle themed, or maybe one of the or maybe one of the Yoshi levels, which is usually like sort of a valley themed level with lots of treacherous tracks with no edges, I guess, where you can fall off.
Random eggs.
Yeah, especially if the Obsolus is carving it up. So that would check the box for your jungle level.
If I could add two things to that, though, if I could just put a little seasoning in that soup of yours, Brian, there could be like a big tray during the whole level, right? Maybe a mobile, and it's clearly in the way of something. And then maybe on the final lap, the Obsolus destroys it and then unlocks like a quick shortcut.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That'd be pretty cool. Also, if you remember, I think in Mario Kart 64, in Donkey Kong's level, if you get off the track, like monkeys in the trees throw coconuts at you.
Me too.
Right? So I thought, keeping with the 08th MS team theme and, what actually happened in that show, if you drive too close to certain villages in the course, they actually shoot at you. We can have them shoot little rockets that like hit you and bump you or something like that.
Yeah, that's perfect in continuity.
Why not?
But my last idea, which I thought was pretty decent, would make a decent course, was driving through either Anaheim Electronics itself or the La Vie en Rose ship that Anaheim Electronics runs. And you could basically just drive through their manufacturing plant, like either on their conveyor belt or alongside it, and you could see all of the mobile suits getting built. And you could see like some fun ones in the background, maybe like GPO3 and the Dendrobium, and maybe some fans might remember that Shima's Gerbera Tetra was really GPO4, just with some new armor on it instead. Maybe some early Zeta stuff in the background, because I think in one of the Origin episodes we got to see inside of Anaheim Electronics.
A little bit, yeah.
Maybe a lot more than we had in other series. And what was really striking to me about that one is that place was huge. So I thought it'd be fun to drive along that track, and maybe in Mario there's an enemy called a Thwomp, and so I feel like this would be a good opportunity to bring in the Thwomp gimmick, because the Thwomp gimmick is in Mario Kart a lot, especially in the Bowser levels. But here, you could have, if you were driving on the assembly line, you could have like machine stampers coming down to like hit the armor into shape or something like that. And if you had to drive around those, I thought that would work. That would keep in the theme.
I love this idea because I can't think of too many Mario Kart games where we actually had something similar to like a factory or an assembly line type level, right? With a lot of machines and stuff. It'd almost be like a Sonic level, right? Because like Robotnik always had like, those factory levels you had to go through, and there were like stompers and things like that, spikes. So this would be like the obstacle level almost, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. It definitely strikes me as more Sonic than Mario for sure. I'm trying to think. I don't remember any factory levels. I did not play Double Dash, so I can't speak for that one. But I don't think there were any.
But
factory
it
levels
works perfectly in Gundam. Perfectly.
And it's a good way to show off like all the different suits. They could just
Yeah.
be in the factory. So that, I think it could be fun.
You could even put funny stuff in the background, like maybe it shows them building some Xeon suits or something, and then, you see like little animated factory workers quickly covering it up or something.
Oh yeah, that could be a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Like, what if maybe there's like a fork in the road, and if you go one way, you accidentally go
Yeah.
into like the do not enter area, and it would poke fun at the fact that Anaheim Electronics was like serving both sides.
Pretty much, yeah. um, my last idea was an obligatory city level. And I felt like, well, if you're going to go big, Brian, you better go big and go home. Right? Did I say that right? Whatever.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, go big or go home. If you're going to go home, you better go big and then go to your home.
Fool me once, fool me twice.
I thought, you know what? If we're going to have a level in a city, it needs to be a majestic looking city. And if it's going to be a majestic looking city, it better be a city that's having like a really good event happening at the same time as a race. So I thought, what better than a Zeonic military parade at Side 3, Zum City.
Ooh.
So you'd be racing inside the colony. There wouldn't be a battle in the background. Yep. But you'd be racing inside the colony pretty much during like a Xeon rally, and you'd see the Xeon flags everywhere, probably giant statues or pictures of the Zabi family, and you'd race during the parade that they're doing. You'd go through other streets, you try to like the race happening would almost be like a train, I felt, because sometimes trains show up in Mario races, and you get the time going in front of them, or you try to wait them out so you don't get hit by them.
Yep.
So in the same way, the Main Street Boulevard would probably be like the train in a way. Like you don't want to be, you don't want to run straight into like, a row of Magellan tanks, because then your go-kart will like bounce and like spin out. So you kind of have to time it, go through the gaps or whatever, and like, you get to race around the space dock and the main streets and things like that. And you also got to go by like the Zombies castle and palace. So I thought it'd be interesting, maybe like the military academy too. You get to see like Xeon mobile suits, Zaku's doing like, salutes and things like that, and Xeon flags everywhere. I thought it'd be visually pretty cool.
Yeah, what came to mind immediately when she said Zoom City was the palace, because the palace was sort of rendered, really beautifully in the origin, and that reminded me of Royal Raceway from the Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, Peach's Castle.
Yeah, or Peach's Castle. So you get Peach's Castle in there. Well, we got the Xeon Palace.
We need a castle level, castle course.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, one more thing. If you remember Mario Kart, there's always the guy that like he'll either fish your cart out of like, water if you fell in water, or if you fall off like the track in Rainbow Road, or he's also the guy that holds the starting lights, right?
Yeah, yeah. His name is Lakitu.
Yeah, right? Lakitu. Whatever. I call him Cloud Guy or whatever. I'm sure he has a more complex. I'm sure he has a more complex name.
I'm actually not sure if you pronounce it Lakitu or like Lakitu. It's
Cloud
Lakitu. Lakitu.
Yeah.
Cloud Koopa.
I felt like there's really only one character that comes to mind that could do that, and that's Haro.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Who did you think? Did you have any idea like who that could be? Or
I like Haro better than my idea. My idea was Lala's spirit, because she's always dead.
Oh my god. Oh my god, a ghost of Lala.
Yeah, because what does Lakitu do? He basically brings you back to life once you die in Mario Kart, like, right? Like
death
falling off. Yeah, like falling off the course is basically you dying, and he takes you out of the water, takes you out of the lava, puts you back on the track. Well, Lala is always like guiding people back from this, the new type spirit realm, if you want to put it that way. So I don't know, that's what popped into my head, and that way she can be all floaty like she usually is. And by the way, if Lala was in as a racer, she would need to like float, like her cart, it wouldn't touch the ground.
It would just be a hovering. What does she drive?
No, she would just drive like her dress, like or the Elmith. You could put it in the Elmith.
The bizarre kind of nightgown that Char made her wear. All right, here's your uniform for Xeon. But none of the other women are wearing this. Just put it on.
Just wear it. Get in this death machine.
Yeah, I think this game sounds pretty awesome.
This game sounds great. I want to play it. I wish
Yeah.
it existed so I could play it. Bandai, Sunrise, get on it. We got a lot of ideas. Look, and we did this whole thing just based on like 1 year war-ish time frame, 1 year
Yeah.
war plus a few years. You could do one of these games for almost the entire series, or you could release DLC pack after DLC pack. Like you said, you finish this game, release the Zeta pack, and then the Charge Counterattack pack, then the Unicorn pack. You just keep going.
Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing would be huge.
Oh yeah, the Wing pack, 5 new drivers, 6 if you count Zex. 3 more for the grunt suits that Isaac hates. You get your Leos in there.
You know what could even be better? A Mobile Fighter G Gundam DLC. Because every country gets represented, and you kind of get a 2-for-1. You get the mobile suit and the race card of each country, right?
Yep.
But then you also get each country's colony as a race course, and that would be awesome.
Yeah. This game would be great. It would be very expensive to make, given all the crazy ideas
I mean,
threw out. But
I don't know. If anybody listening to this is like, I don't know, like, you're good at modding games or whatever, just start building it. Build it. We'll play it on the podcast. We'll stream it.
We're here, Bandai. We're here, Sunrise. We're here to consult. But I think this game could be a huge hit, especially in Japan. Probably more so in Japan than here in the States. But I think there's endless possibilities, and you could release one version and then just update it. You don't have to make a new game for each series. I think the DLC packs would work great. You would just introduce 4 new tracks per pack. I think they should make it. I think they're leaving money on the table, not making this thing.
I'm surprised something like this doesn't already exist, because SD Gundam came out, way back in the 80s, I believe, at its earliest, and it's been kind of going on since then. They've had SD Gundam that was very lighthearted in tone, like them playing Jeopardy and things like that. And more recently, they had like that 3D animated SD Gundam that wasn't too great. But then again, I wasn't the target audience.
Yeah.
But it's not unheard of that Gundam appears as a very sort of lighthearted, kind of comedic version of itself in different ways besides robots in a war. So I'm surprised they haven't done this. You could even do something kind of like Mario Kart Sports or Mario Party, even just with Gundams. I don't see why it hasn't been happened. It's so visually ripe.
Yeah, totally agree.
You know what? This game would sell like hotcakes. It would be a lot like Mario Kart. Maybe they should just team up with Nintendo and work on it. And while they're at it, you know what? They're building these Nintendo theme parks, right?
Oh, they
Even
are.
here, they're going to build them at Universal Studios, I believe. So why not also throw in a Gundam theme park?
I would
It
go.
would be pretty awesome. Yeah.
I would go.
Yeah. Whether in the U.S. or in Japan, it would be awesome.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Let us know if you think this is a good idea. Let us know what your ideas would be for a Gundam kart racing game. Who would your drivers be? What kind of course ideas do you have? What kind of items would you make?
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can listen to us wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Until next week.
See ya. Take care.